As she walked in, the room got quiet. Her classmates looked at her with hate and pity. Amara's heart beat fast. What was going on? Amara was the best student at Bright Star Academy, an all-girls school known for being strict. At 16 years old, she stood out not just for being pretty, but also for being smart. Amara was always top of her class. Working hard to stay the best student, every day Amara would wake up early, put on her clean school uniform, and go to school with hope in her eyes. Her long black hair was always tied in 2 buns on top of her head, and her face glowed with beauty that needed no makeup. As she walked through the school gates, heads would turn and whispers would follow. "There goes Amara," the other girls would say, "always perfect, always the best." But Amara paid no mind to these words. Her focus was only on her studies. In class, she sat in front, eagerly taking in every word the teachers said. Her hand was always the first to go up when a question was asked, and her answers were always right. But Amara's beauty was becoming a problem. Even the teachers found themselves staring at her during lessons. Mr. Bello, the math teacher, often stumbled over his words when talking to Amara. Mr. Kanu, the English teacher, couldn't help but admire Amara's neat writing and smart essays. Despite all this, Amara stayed unaware. After school, while other students rushed home or to their clubs, Amara would stay back in the classroom. She'd take out her books, spread them on her desk, and dive into her studies. One evening, as the sun was setting and casting long shadows across the empty classroom, Amara was deep in her English book. She didn't notice when someone came in. "Amara, you're still here," a voice called out. Amara looked up to see Halima, one of her classmates, standing at the door. "Oh, hi Halima," Amara said with a smile. "Yes, I'm just doing some extra reading." Halima walked over to Amara's desk, her eyes looking at the pile of books. She shook her head and gave a small laugh. "Amara," Halima said, "if I was as pretty as you, I wouldn't tire myself studying all the time. You could easily get favors from the teachers who like you." Amara's eyebrows scrunched in confusion. "What do you mean?" Halima smiled slyly. "Haven't you seen how the teachers look at you, especially Mr. Bello and Mr. Kanu? You could probably get good grades without all this extra work." Amara was shocked. She had never thought about using her looks for any gain. "But that wouldn't be right," she said. Halima shrugged. "It's just a thought. Anyway, I'm going home. Don't stay too late, okay?" As Halima left, Amara sat there, her mind spinning with this new idea. She had always believed in hard work and being honest. But was Halima right? Could life be easier if she used her beauty to her advantage? With these thoughts weighing on her mind, Amara packed up her books and headed home. The streets were quiet as she walked, the streetlights casting a soft glow on the path. She couldn't shake off Halima's words, and for the first time she began to see her beauty as something more than just how she looked. When Amara got home, her parents greeted her with warm smiles. They were proud of their daughter's success and had always pushed her to study hard. But tonight, Amara was not fully there during dinner, her mind still thinking about Halima's words. In her room, instead of opening her books as she usually did, Amara stood in front of her mirror. She looked at her face, noticing her clear skin, bright eyes, and soft features. Had she been blind to the power she held? As she lay in bed that night, Amara made a choice. Tomorrow, she would try something new. She would see if Halima was right about the power of her beauty. Amara didn't know this choice would start a chain of events that would change her life forever. The next morning, Amara woke up earlier than usual. She stood in front of her mirror, pausing for a moment before reaching for her makeup kit, a birthday gift she had never used. With shaky hands, she put on a light layer of makeup, a touch of blush, and some lip gloss. She let her hair down, letting it fall in soft waves around her shoulders. As Amara walked into the school grounds, she could feel the change right away. More heads turned than usual, and the whispers seemed louder. Even some of the teachers did a double take as she passed by. In Mr. Bello's math class, Amara decided to test Halima's idea. When the teacher handed out a surprise test, Amara felt a moment of worry. She hadn't studied for this, but then she remembered Halima's words. As Mr. Bello picked up the papers, Amara looked up at him and smiled sweetly. "Mr. Bello," she said softly, "I hope I did well on the test." I really want to keep my good grades in your class." Mr. Bello looked flustered. "I'm sure you did fine, Amara. You're my best student after all." The next day, when Mr. Bello gave back the graded tests, Amara was surprised to see a perfect score on her paper. She knew she hadn't gotten all the answers right. Could Halima have been right? Feeling bold from this, Amara tried the same thing with other teachers. A smile here, a kind word there, and soon she found herself getting good grades on tests she hadn't studied for. At first, it felt like a relief. She could finally get some rest instead of staying up all night studying. As the days went by, Amara found herself relying more and more on her looks. She studied less, sure that a smile or a bat of her eyelashes would be enough to keep her top spot. And for a while, it worked. But Amara didn't notice the growing anger among her classmates. Girls who had once looked up to her now talked behind her back. They saw how the teachers favored her, how she seemed to sail through tests without the hard work they all put in. Halima watched all of this with a mix of joy and jealousy. She had started this plan, but she hadn't expected Amara to be so good at it. As Amara's grades stayed high while her study time got less, Halima's envy grew. One afternoon, as Amara was leaving school, she overheard two teachers talking in an empty classroom. She stopped outside the door, listening. "Have you noticed how Amara's been acting lately?" It was Mr. Kanu's voice. "Yes, it's quite a change," replied Mr. Bello. "She seems to be using her charm more." "It's becoming a problem," Mr. Kanu said. "The other students are starting to complain. They think we're playing favorites." "Well, can you blame us?" Mr. Bello laughed. "She's a beautiful young woman, but you're right. We need to be careful. Maybe we can get her to a hotel during the weekend, you know? Deal with her outside the school." Amara's heart raced as she hurried away from the door. For the first time, she felt a bit of guilt and fear. What had she gotten herself into? That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, thinking about what she had heard. The teachers were noticing her behavior, and worse, they seemed to want something in return for their favors. This wasn't what she had planned when she started this game. The next day at school, Amara felt uneasy under the gaze of her teachers. Every smile, every kind word now seemed full of hidden meaning. She realized that she had opened a door she didn't know how to close. After school, Amara went to find Halima. She found her friend sitting under a tree in the schoolyard, looking at her phone. "Halima, I need to talk to you," Amara said, her voice shaking a little. Halima looked up, a sly smile on her face. "What's up, beauty queen? Enjoying your new life?" "I think I've made a mistake. The teachers, they're starting to want more than just smiles for the favors they're doing me." "What do you mean?" Halima asked. "I overheard them talking," Amara explained. "They're expecting something from me. I don't know what to do. This has gone too far." Halima was quiet for a moment, then she leaned in close. "Listen, Amara, you've come this far. Don't back out now. If the teachers want more, give them what they want." Amara pulled back in shock. "What? No, I can't do that." "Why not?" Halima pushed. "It's just a little further. Think about all the good things you've been getting. Do you want to give that up?" "No, Halima, this is wrong. I never should have started this. I'm going to stop it now." As Amara walked away, she didn't see the dark look that crossed Halima's face. She didn't know that her choice to stop would start a chain of events that would turn her life upside down. The next morning, Amara woke up set on making things right. She tied her hair back in its usual style and went to school without any makeup. She was ready to face what she'd done and go back to her old ways of hard work and being honest. But as soon as she stepped into the school grounds, she knew something was wrong. Students were gathered in small groups, whispering and pointing at her. Confused and worried, Amara made her way to her classroom. As she entered, the room fell silent. Her classmates looked at her with a mix of disgust and pity. Amara's heart began to race. What was happening? It was Halima who finally broke the silence. "Well, well," she said loudly, "if it isn't our teacher's pet, or should I say, little slut." Amara felt as if she had been slapped. "What are you talking about?" Halima stood up, a cruel smile on her face. "Oh, come on, Amara. Everyone knows what you've been doing to get those good grades, sleeping with the teachers. That's low, even for you." Amara's world seemed to spin. "That's not true," she cried out. "I never did anything like that." But no one listened to her please. The rumor had spread like wildfire through the school. Just then, Mrs. Aisha, the school principal, appeared at the classroom door. Her face was stern and her voice cold as she said, "Amara, come with me to my office right now." As Amara followed Mrs. Aisha through the halls, she could feel the stares of everyone they passed. Tears welled up in her eyes. In the principal's office, Mrs. Aisha didn't hold back. "Amara, I've heard some very bad rumors about your behavior with our teachers. This is a serious matter." "But it's not true," Amara pleaded. "I never did anything like that. Yes, I tried to use my looks to get better grades, but I never went further than that, I swear." Mrs. Aisha's face stayed hard. "Whether it's true or not, the damage is done. Parents are calling, saying they'll take their children out if you stay in the school. You've become a problem, Amara." Amara felt as if the floor had dropped out from under her. "What? What does that mean?" "It means," Mrs. Aisha said with a sigh, "that we have no choice but to kick you out of Bright Star Academy." The words hit Amara like a punch. Kicked out. Her perfect record, her dreams of finishing at the top of her class, all gone in a flash. As Amara left the principal's office, her world falling apart, she saw Halima standing in the hall, a smug smile on her face. In that moment, Amara realized how much her friend had betrayed her. The next few days passed in a blur of tears and fights. Amara's parents were crushed by the news of her being kicked out. They didn't believe the rumors, but they were angry and upset that Amara had tried to use her looks for school gain. "We raised you better than this," her father said, his voice heavy with disappointment. Amara's mother was more down to earth. "We need to find you a new school," she said. "You can't let this setback ruin your future." And so, after days of looking for a school that would take an SS2 student, Amara's parents got her into City High School, a regular school that was very different from the fancy Bright Star Academy. As Amara stood at the gates of City High School on her first day, she felt like a different person. The confident, top-of-the-class Amara was gone, replaced by a girl who felt lost and alone. But as she took a deep breath and stepped into the grounds, she made a silent promise to herself. This was her second chance, a chance to prove that she was more than just a pretty face, a chance to show the world and herself that she could succeed on her own. Amara didn't know that her time at City High School would bring its own set of trials and lessons. This was just the start of Amara's story. If you're eager to see how this story unfolds, please subscribe and let us know in the comments below. Type continue to see episode 2. Your feedback will help shape future videos on this channel.